So today we are going to learn about front-end project planning week 9. So what do we hope to learn in our first class, which is Saturday? So we are going to learn what is project planning, then planning for your front-end development project, which is a very nice skill. So what is project planning? So project planning involves key phases of how front-end developers collaborate with designers, plan site architecture, code up fast and responsive interface templates, develop reusable components, implement animation, and optimize for performance across devices. So that is what project planning is. It starts from the development stage, and it will include the developer if need be, and the job of the developer is to create or develop reusable components and implement animations and optimization for improved performance across all devices. So that is where we come in. Now, just as I have mentioned, it's not in all cases that you as a developer you'll be involved in the planning phase, but if you are, maybe based on your experience, then that is also nice. So the next part of this lesson is planning of your front-end development project. Now this section will help you to have a bird's eye view of what the project or a project is all about, then strategize on how you can effectively handle each task to meet up the deadline and develop a good website that has a very high performance. So we are going to learn some of the strategies or the steps that we can use to plan a front-end project so that we can do it with less ease and also collaborate with other people. So the first step here is defining the scope. So this involves you understanding the project overall objective, the desired feature and functionalities. So I have your final project here. So if I go back, so if I zoom in now, today my mouse refused to work. So let me use Control minus. So this is your final project, and the first step says that you should understand the project overall objective, desired features and what functionalities. So let's look at some features and functionalities that this project will likely include. So if I zoom into this first one, and scroll down a little, so let me just, so you might not be seeing it clear because if I zoom it too much, it will be very hard for me to navigate. So you see that from this home page we have a navbar here, we have the hero section, and we have some other stuff. So upon close examination of this, you see that you likely need what? Your HTML and your what? CSS. And if you study this website, you come to see that it's an e-commerce website. So you have the home page, you have the shop, as you can see here. Then if you scroll to the right, you have the single product, then you have the cart, and now we arrive at a functionality when you click on this cat icon, it brings out this sidebar or this pop-up that will also lead you to navigate to some other pages, so like the cat, and like I think that is continue. So let me scroll. So I'm having issue navigating. So I think that is the checkout, then that is the comparison. So you see that you have, so you can do this using CSS, but in order for you to stay open like this, so that only when the user clicks outside or clicks on it before it to close, I think JavaScript will do a better job. So you have that. Then you also have some other functionalities that JavaScript will do, which is to add to cart, increase the number of items that the user wants to add. Then if you scroll down, I think I saw pagination somewhere. So I think there's pagination somewhere. Let me zoom out again. So you see that you don't just receive a project like this and just jump inside and start doing. You have to analyze and see the various functionalities. Then you now strategize on how you can use React to effectively build this project without repeating yourself. I saw pagination somewhere. So you see that there are some functionalities there. So like you have a form and it needs to be submitted, and you have some other stuff. You have even a slider. I think that is in the home page. So if you take your time to examine this, you will notice the various functionalities and the features. Now if you have used an e-commerce website before, that will also help you to understand the functionalities. Here is the pagination. So that is the first step. Here you understand the overall objective and desired features. Then you break down tasks. So list down all the tasks required for the project. This includes the coding, the testing, and the reviews. So upon a close examination of this project, you of course notice that you need HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And there are some things that you need to add, like you need to add some pop-ups, you need to add some maybe animation, you need to add this pagination, then and some other stuff. You need to add optimization too. So you have to optimize the image or how fast this page loads, because if you notice, it has to do with a lot of images, and these images, they are not just small size images, so they are quality images. So you have to find a way that the project will be sharp, or the image will be sharp, and it does not affect the page load time. And from our optimization class, if you recall from the video, we noticed that one of the best way I recommended was to use Cloudinary to host all these images online and call them. And in that case, if the user has a slow network, the page will still load, but as the image begins to come one by one, it will gradually adjust and show in the full format. That means the loading time of the site will not be slow. So that is what I would recommend for you to use. So you download all these images and send them to Cloudinary and use them to call down the site, this so that it will be optimized. So the only ones that you will not add to Cloudinary is just the icons. So like if I want to add like this, if I zoom in a little, for example, if I want to add like this user icon, this search icon, I don't need to use any other icon from a third party. This thing, you can extract all these icons here and that will save you time and increase your accuracy. Because one thing that actually makes you a good developer is if you can actually design actually what you see on a Figma design. So if you attempt to use maybe like React icons or even font awesome, the icon style might not be the same, and for some designers they will not be happy with that because it tells bad on them if you don't design exactly what they gave to you. So it's a very nice thing to keep in mind. So that is that. So you have to break down your the task. So, and adding to the breaking down of the task, so let's consider the next. So let's consider the next one: user journey mapping. Understand how a user would navigate the site. For instance, a simple user journey might be from the landing page to the product listing and to the product details and the checkout. So this is also in line. So if you don't understand how a user will flow from one page to another, it is good you ask the designer that gave you the job, or you can ask the product manager, or better still, you can use a comment in your Figma if it's an ongoing project, or even if it's a finished project. You can also click this comment and add a comment here. Then you can text the designer or the product manager that you've left a message on the design that please check. So the person will come and explain the design to you. For example, if we go to the right, if you notice from the navbar here, there is no blog link here. So we just have home, shop, about, and contact. So I've looked for it, but I'm not sure I saw blog there. But if you come towards the last part of the page, you notice that you see a blog page here. So this can be confusing. So this is an example of when you don't understand how the user flow will be. So you can ask the person that gave you the job, or the designer, or the product manager, and they will be the one to give you that distance. Now there's a hint here which can be human error. So it is saying that we are to move from home to what? Blog. And if you study these other ones like this, you notice that from the contact here, we can from the home tab here, we can move to the contact page, which is likely from this nav. So it then means there is a text that is missing here also. But just to confirm things, it's good for you to ask. But it is likely that there was an omission in putting the blog here. So please take note, for this project, add the blog in the navbar here, because that is a possible answer to that. Okay, so we'll move to the next one, which is sequence the task. So now that you've understood the scope and the breakdown of the tasks and the user journey, now it's time for you to know in which order you are going to do the task. So arrange tasks in logical order. For example, you have to do the HTML before the CSS, and it's virtually impossible for you to do the CSS before HTML. Then you have to do this CSS before JavaScript, and it's also virtually impossible for you to do the JavaScript before the HTML. So you see, that sequence also matters. Now, talking about sequence, let's look at the design again. Now, if you notice, so this is where you get to appreciate the beauty of React, which also helps you to split your code into components, that is reusable codes. So if we go back to the home, tab, you now begin to find the common terms. You remember the mathematics that that has to do with defining a like terms. So you notice that all over the page you see that the nav bar almost appears everywhere. So this is a nice idea, that the nav bar should be what? A component. Because if you don't build it as a component, imagine I spend a full day to build this home component, and the next day, and this footer component, and the next day I want to now build the shop. So is either I will copy and paste the nav and the footer and this other section here, which is also repeating. But in order to save you that stress of even copying and pasting, you build it as a component. And another beauty of building it as a component is, for instance, if I want to edit a part of the code. Now, if I copy and paste, I have to go to all those places that I copy and paste to edit them. But if I build them as a component, I have to edit it in just one place, and to reflect in any other places I use them. So that is the beauty of dividing or splitting your code into components. So a good place to start is to build the nav bar first. After you finish the nav bar, it's good for you to start from the most logical ones that are easier to the advanced one. So excuse me. So I can move. So after I finish building the nav bar, I can build the footer. Then the most logical one for me to build is the one that is repeating next, and that is this section here. So if you notice, this section here is repeating. So if I go to the next page, if I go to another page, I think you see here is repeating. So as I build these three components, maybe for a day, I can say I've achieved a milestone for that day, and I can close for the day. Then the next day, if I come again, I can say, okay, I now want to build. Now after I finish building this component that are similar, it's very good for you to now start from the home page, because if you're doing a project, you start from the home page and mark that as checked. After you finish that, then you move to the next page, because it's likely that for a project you might not finish all the pages before it is being hosted. So after you finish building some of those important reusable components, you take it serially and finish the landing page. So you can take these two sections, 1 and 2, for a day, or that depends on your time. Then this other one for a day, or you can even task yourself for a page or so for a day. So that is for that. You just create a sequence of how you will handle each task. Now the next thing now is, I almost touched on this one, allocate time. Now estimate how long each task will take. It is wise to allocate some buffer time for unseen challenges. So actually there are some designs that a UI designer might give you, actually for some things that are even not that much. For example, while I was building a project, this date pop-up, they also designed it. So to design the date pop-up to look exactly like the design took me, in short, the time it took me to design the full landing page, I spent close to that amount of time trying to understand how to design just that date pop-up. So you see, so those are some of the issues that you can have. So it is important to split your code, so that if a task takes too much time, and this is a sound advice, if a task takes too much time, you can leave it and handle other tasks that is not dependent on the unfinished tasks. So in my scenario, because I had the time, I said let me do it serially. But if I was in an intense pressure to this and submit the job, the date pop-up was independent, so other project did not depend on it, or other parts of the project did not depend on it. So I would have left that one and finish other projects, then later I can come back. And that is suggestion here. So if it is important to split your code so that if a task takes too much time, you can leave it and handle other tasks that is not dependent on the unfinished tasks. Later you can come back to it with fresh perspective, and with other tasks completed, you can spend as much time as needed to get the tasks done. So please keep this in mind. So for example, if you are building the page and you reach on this pagination part and you try to code it, you cannot do it. You try to use a framework and it's not working. Since the pagination only appears in just one section of the page, you can leave it and handle other part of the code. Then after, you can come back to it. So set milestones. Now identify significant points in the project where certain objective or tasks should be completed. Example could be the approval of the home page by the product manager or designer, remaining on schedule for each week. So if you are doing a job, they will split the project. Now if you're not working under somebody, maybe a client just asks you, can you be the website? Say yes, and just gives you a Figma file to start working. So it's just you and the client. So you can tell the client that this job will take like 4 months. So it just you and the client. So but even though you just you and the client, you should have in mind that you don't want to spend as much time in that job. So you want to finish that job as fast as possible so I can get ready for another job. So you need to schedule your time so that you finish that job with the quickest time. Then review and adjust. So periodically revisit the timeline to ensure that the project aligns with the milestone. So you want to design the website so clean, and I repeat again, so clean that the time and effort that was put by the designer to bring out the idea is not defeated. So you don't want to design a website that is not clean enough. So as you're designing the website, it's always good for you to review if you are actually on track. Now this is a point of caution. Note, if you are working with a project manager, he will send you a breakdown of the project, your weekly expectations and expected milestone based on your experience. So do not lie about your experience. Now why is that so? Because more experience will mean more tasks within a short time, and this is very, very important, because for project managers, if they receive a job now that is worth maybe like 3 to 4 million naira, and they spend time and they must not finish the design before you start to do the project, and based on the knowledge of the product manager, he knows that this job is going to take about 6 months, both to build the front end and the back end. But the clients now wants this job to be done in 3 months or less. So in that situation now, if you see the advert for maybe the job and they say they want a senior developer or a person who has been using React for at least 3 or 4 years. Now you might not know why they're asking that. You just put I even have 7 years, and if you are opportunity to get that job because you say that you have enough experience. For example, now if they have a junior developer that is working with you, so if the product manager is sharing the tasks, he can split this job into 2, and he's going to give you the most difficult part. So he might say that you have to do the home page and the shop, maybe like and this single detail for a week. And whereas for a junior developer, it might be 2 weeks. So if you're not strong and you say that you're strong, you say that they'll give you more tasks to accomplish in a short time than somebody that is just learning. So please do not lie about your experience unless you have somebody that is more experienced than you, that is free, that can help you in case it chokes you. So please do not lie about your experience, because that can be very, very, very harmful to you. It can make you overstress yourself and lead to, if possible, it can lead to even sickness. So at this point we are done with the slide. So I would like to get your opinion if you have any question before I demonstrate how we can start a project applying what you have learned now using React, just like I was practicing before the class. So if you have any question, please raise up your hand so that we'll clear those questions before we start. And by the way, this is your final project, so you need to ask. So is there a question? Is there any part of the project planning that you did not understand? Okay, so nobody has a question. Okay, let me see, confirm if you guys are listening to me. So if you can hear me clearly, please raise up your hand. Please let me see before I switch to the next section. Okay, so thank you very, very much. So now I'm going to open my PC and we are going to start installation of a new React project. And I noticed that from the assignment, some of you had issue installing React and doing the routing system. So I'm going to clear that with this part of the class. So is there any question still? Okay, Mr. Kinsley, your hand is still up. Okay, Mr. Bami, your hand is still up. Please speak up.
Hello.
Yes, good eve.
Hello.
Good afternoon, I can hear you.
Yeah, this is Bamdele.
Yes.
In regard to the last class, I mean on the React. So there was an issue because, like me, I was trying to so those things. So whenever I load this, so it won't display on the screen. I use Chrome. I use different
browsers.
But it will not display it. But if there's error, it will display the error. But once the error is on, it will not show anything. The place will just look blank. So I tried this, but I couldn't get the. Even I did not submit the last one because everything was just blank. So I had to leave it.
Okay. That is part of the issue that you face as a new React student, but it's okay. So please just pay attention because I'm about to start a fresh React project and I'm going to start afresh. So please pay attention and make sure your network does not disturb. And by the way, I'm recording the class, so if you miss any part, you'll be sure that it will be in the recording. So it's 30 minutes now, and I'm going to stop the recording and I'll start all over again. So let's do that.